Justin, why is risk taking so important for furthering opportunities in the future?
I suspect many people have an idea of what they want opportunity to look like. Something gets handed to them, on a silver platter with a bow with absolutely no risk, or like the most minimal amount of risk, very easy to deal with. Back in the day, I used to do a fair amount of travel, and you would always wait for airlines to make mistake fares. So they would goof up fat finger, get these awesome deals. You buy like a $10,000 ticket for, a fraction of that or whatever, right? The problem was this: you never knew when they were going to come up. The window to buy was very, very, very limited, and you kind of had to go like wherever the fare was. It's not like, oh, I want a mistake fare here. It's like, no, 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 no. These are the dates, these are the options, these are the rules or whatever, right? And I would go on these trips. My friends would always say, hey, Justin, this comes up again, let me know, I want to get on it. I'm like, okay, great, or whatever, right? Josh, what did I find when this thing would go on? I would start sending a text like, oh, good, there's a fat ass mistake fare or whatever, right? Start texting people. You get back to the response, oh, gee, Justin, that sounds really interesting. Let me think about it while I've got to talk to my wife or whatever. It's like, no, no, no. You don't understand how this works.
Mhm.
The window to actually take advantage of this is very, very, very narrow. It's not, we're going to ask, it's not, we're going to think. You buy now, and then you sort out the mess later on. And just as a sign up from the world of airlines, you would have at least 24 hours. Generally, you have at least 24 hours to cancel anyways. But again, people just they can't get this this concept over their head. I mean, you could say the same thing in firms of the GameStop or the meme stock. So that's more risk.
And the analysis of the paralysis state, and it is truly just it limits so many people's opportunities in the future. I'll use myself for an example in this. Last year, exactly 1 year ago today, I was working at the YMCA lifeguarding and teaching swim lessons. Then I went to a Rebel Capitalist live event exactly 1 year ago today. It's where I met Justin. It's where I furthered my relationship with George Gaiman, the person I'm working for today. But what actually happened? At the time, I was pretty broke. Maybe I had $10,000 in the bank. I had no savings. I was making $200 a week. My life was really going nowhere. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I needed to figure something out. So I took the risk. I bought the ticket, which was like $600. The flight was another $600. The hotel was another $1,500. So I'm already in over $2,000 on this.
Wait, your hotel was $1,500?
Or just something like
Jesus Christ, yeah.
The cost for my trip was over $2,000 just for like a few days going to this event. I had no clue what I was going to do. I just knew that I had to make the most of it because I was pretty much putting most of my savings into this just because I had absolutely no clue what I was doing. But from there, I met Justin, and he gave me an opportunity. He said, hey, do you want to come by to Vegas with me? I was like, hey man, I don't have the funds or anything like that. But as Justin was just alluding to, he has that travel magic wand. He waved the wand and said, look at this. There happened to be a free ticket on my lap, and if you want it, you can have it. So I said, you know what? Sure. Maybe he's a pedophile rapist and he's going to kill me in the dumpster behind Wemsley, but I'm going to,
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate the sentiment.
Well, that is what people were saying. Like, hey, dude, people were telling me that is exactly what's going to happen. Like, how the hell can you trust some random dude that you just met in Miami at a conference? I'm like, I don't care. I trust my read of character. He's a solid guy, and I'm going. So from there, that is where we had dinner with the dude that I'm working for now. But all of this entire story happened because you put in that first initial amount of risk. You put yourself in an opportunity to get lucky, and that's where a lot of people are missing. They think like that you're just going to get handed a silver platter and you're just going to be lucky. And I'm going to find Justin on a Reddit forum, and then we're just going to become buddies, and then he's going to fly me places, and we're going to have a great relationship. But that's just not the way it works in reality. You have to put yourself in positions to be opportunistic, and when you get that chance, you actually take it. Because I would be very, very interested to see how many people would have actually taken the trip with you, Justin, because it was we only had met once for one weekend. And we had absolutely no clue who we were. I was traveling across the country which was my second ever trip that I was taking alone. My first was to basically spend my life savings to go to the first trip. So it's just taking this risk. And then from there, now I'm definitely not working at the YMCA anymore. I'm doing pretty well for myself, and now I have actual vision for what I want to do for at least the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and kind of put some context on that too. Like, this is what I mean when I say like people kind of have like these preconceived notions, and like just to be clear, like, look, you definitely want to manage your risk or whatever, right? So let's be clear on that front too. You can go there are two ways, just as you can say, oh, we're not going to do anything because it's too risky. You can also go the other direction and say we're going to do anything about risk, which maybe might not be the right thing to do. Might not be the right thing to do either. There's another friend that Josh, that you and I both know, and I use this example a lot. And what I would find is that this is what has led me very well to manage my own risk and try to define opportunity or whatever. You go to the gym. You have no clue what you're doing. First day there. You go upstairs to the floor or whatever, right? And you see this kind of like two sides of the gym. Squat racks are on one side, machines, or let's say lower bodies on one side, upper bodies on the other side or whatever, right? And you look around and you see people doing squats, and like you have no clue how to do a squat, but you see what's going on the squats. Like it's just abysmal. You look at that and say, like, listen, I don't know how to do a squat right, but based upon what those guys are doing or girls are doing, like that just looks flat out wrong. And then you look at the other side of the gym, people doing upper body, where it's like, okay, well, that makes sense, whatever, right? And this is the key thing. Right now, you've got like this false choice that happens. It's like, oh, do I want to do legs incorrectly or do I want to do upper body correctly? Like this is the false dilemma that you have to be really, really cognizant of when it comes to risk, because the real answer, I would argue, is this. The answer is yes, you want to do upper body, but that doesn't give you an excuse to not work on lower body. And even if the existing options or the existing ways people are doing things are just flat out wrong, and even if you don't know that it's wrong or your gut's telling you that it's wrong, that doesn't give you an excuse for not trying to learn. It's like, okay, well, listen, I want to look like an idiot, but I'm going to start from the ground up trying to figure this shit out myself. And in this example, trying to do a squat. And so I think the same thing goes true when it comes to finance, when it comes to real estate. And then again, of course, know how to manage your risk. But the point is that when you're given something, whatever, right, and it doesn't necessarily conform to how you think it should be, I'm not saying, keep your mind so open that everything falls out, but you do want to have some openness in your mind to say, okay, well, wait a minute. Maybe the like framework, the lenses, or the way I interpret the world, maybe I need to consider readjusting that as well. And so that's, I think, a huge component of what's helped me. Like Josh, back in the day when I was your age, or probably a little older than you, when I started doing the traveling thing, I would go around to, and I was always by far the youngest. Or there were three of us. There were three young ones. One of us died. One of us got banned, and then there was me. But it was very much the same thing, right? You would go to these conventions or these meetups of aviation enthusiasts, to put it simply, and they were really fun. But like if you told people about it, like now in hindsight, I'm actually a hat tip to my parents for being so trusting. Like, okay, well, Justin, just be careful, or whatever, right? Anyway, I'm sorry, Josh, I'm rambling.
I'm sure. So I'm sure that you would tell your friends about this. Hey, I found this humongous hack. Like why don't you do this with me? I'm sure you told a bunch of people, because I have gave opportunities to a lot of people. But like you don't just throw someone an opportunity and say here, and you never want to feed someone from a golden spoon. It's much more you want someone to take the leap, and you want them to actually try and achieve something on their own, or they're never going to do it. So I've gave an opportunity to quite a few people. Most of the time, it's just been turned down. I'm in a process like that right now. We'll see what happens.
Sorry, just covered it. It's not so much so it's one thing. It's like, oh, hey, listen, like personal story for myself, well, not now, but back in the past. Like, look, I'm having to take care of my sick, dying grandmother, whatever. Like, I'd love to do it, but like I can only get away for 24 hours at a time. Like, perfectly, like, dude, I get it. Or like, hey, listen, my wife's about to have a kid. Dude, I get it. But that's very different than, oh, geez, well, I'd love to, but I have to get up and do. It's like, no. That's not a real excuse. So my point is, and this is where it gets back into managing the risk or whatever, right? But like, if you're going to say no or yes, I should say, make sure you're saying no or yes for the right reasons.
So I would say there's one of the key steps that I've seen with every single successful entrepreneur that I've ever met. They all know how to manage risk and especially take leaps of faith when they need to. I've seen every single person who runs a business. They are taking countless amounts of risk every single day. Most people are not made up to be entrepreneurs, but if you do want to run a business, I would say it is a trait that you have to develop. You have to learn how to take risk and manage that risk once you do so.
Oh yeah, and just to be fair, like when you're starting off, like Bloom talks about this really well, and this in the context of philosophy or whatever, but he talks, how does he say it? Like, error is indeed the enemy, but error alone is what points to the truth. And in the search and the quest for seeking the truth, you've got to be willing to make mistakes, whatever. You're starting a business, you've got to be. My brother's a good example of this. He started his own business, and he's done well, but he had a few sleepless nights, weeks, months, or whatever. I mean, like it's hard, man. Same thing here or whatever, right? Different context, but same thing. Like you go through the ringer. I would argue you come out stronger at the end of it. You go to the gym, you do an awesome leg workout, chest workout, whatever, right? You'll feel sore 2 or 3 days for 2 or 3 days, but in the end, if you can lift more, have better form and better control of your body, well, the investment was worth it. But this gets back to this key thing: is that like you've got to put something of value up, nothing for nothing and something for something. You have to put something of.
You do not want to be in a parasitical type relationship anyway.
Yeah.
Like anywhere. You do not want to be a parasite, sucking, like just giving zero value for anything. You have to put up initial capital, and a lot of time, especially if you're young like myself, that initial capital only has to be taking risk and giving a leap of faith and trusting someone. That of course you don't just, if someone's extremely sketchy and promising you different things, like you need to have a decent character. You need to read someone's character and make sure that you trust them as a person before you do something outlandish like traveling across the country with them for a free trip. But it's nonetheless, It is very vital for every single entrepreneur that I've ever encountered that they know how to take and manage risk. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.